Hey everybody, welcome to live stream. My other camera stopped working. Hey, this is Joe Gilder. It is Friday afternoon, getting ready to do the weekend thing. Just wanted to pop on and say, hey, answer a few questions. In case you missed it, I'm going to put this up. Wha-bam. Got a new course out now and on sale. I haven't put out a new mixing course in years. And this one is good. So I am incredibly biased, but if you like what I do here on YouTube, you will love this course. It's in an all-new system for all my courses, if you've had a course from me before. And it even comes with an app, so you can watch the material from your phone. It's right there. It'll keep up with where you are, it'll keep up with your progress, so you can pick up where you left off. Really great. So the link's there, homestudiocorner.com/mix. There's 3 options, different ways to buy. They're all on sale, $50 off for this week only. I guess through Wednesday night. So in the next few days. So if that tickles your fancy, check it out. Comes with my guarantee. Like, I give you a full year to decide if it was worth it. It's ridiculous. You can't return a microphone after a full year, but you can return my stuff if you want. So go check it out. The link is there on the screen. I'd love for you to come check it out. So I've got, what do I have? I have about 15 minutes, a little more, to answer your questions. So bring them on. Let's see what you got. Also, check out the new camera action. That one's not that great, but you can see the back of my head, which is arguably my better half. But then, but this one's looking real nice. And I think I figured out all the weird technical issues, so I'm happy with that. Josh, hi from Mississippi. Tell Mississippi I said hey. I grew up in Yazoo City. Let's see, who is here? Nathan McFarland, what's up, my friend? Who else is here? Brandon Allen, thanks so much for the videos. They're the clearest explanation I found on mixing. Well, good. If you like those, you'd love this course right here. Shameless promotion here. Ryan, thanks for the kind words. Sean, what's up? Robert, what's up? Ray, weekends are great. Can we expect more live streams, live sessions from you soon? Yeah, I think so. Now that I've got this rig, should be doing more of that. So keep an eye out for that. Hey, Bruce. Robert says, is it an easy transition from Pro Tools to Studio One? Changing systems is never fun. especially if you're deep into one and you know it inside and out and you know all the keyboard shortcuts and everything. It's not the most fun process, but one thing that's great about Studio One, it gives you the option to use Pro Tools shortcuts. So a lot of the key commands you're used to will be the same, which is helpful in transition. Ultimately, you'd want to switch over. But what's up, Do Jams? Is it possible to mix songs using only the stock DAW plugins? Yeah, this song right here. That was mixed with all stock plugins. And pretty much anything I put out. The only paid plugin I have right now is the FabFilter Limiter. But as far as mixing goes, I use the stuff that comes with Studio One. And I use the Fat Channel in those collections as well. But yeah, I've just never been a plugin collector. I'd rather just make music. Not that the two are mutually exclusive, but I like it. Eddie says, what tips do you have for achieving a clean jazz mix that have live drums, bass, and guitar as the lead instrument? I mean, same as anything. Follow the 5 steps that I put out in my 5-step guide. Like, get a good balance. Make sure things are set up right. Get a good static mix. Fix the big problems, and then do a top-down approach so you're not using too many plugins. And then finally, there's a whole process for knowing when you're finished. But that's what I love about mixing, and the way I approach it is whether it's live jazz, acoustic vocal, or a big rock mix, I approach them all the same way. I set them up the same way. I don't mix them the same way, but I approach them the same way. There's a difference. I don't mix a lead vocal in a country song or an acoustic guitar vocal thing the same way I'd mix a rock vocal, but I definitely approach them as far as a methodology. I approach them the same way. Collins from South Wales. Hello, Colin. Kind regards. No questions. Oh, no questions. Well, I'm glad you're here. Sean says, now that you've been in that room, what are the biggest pros and cons? Biggest con is I keep hitting my head on these sloped ceilings. And it's pretty hot. I'm over a garage. And the garage is like an oven, and that heat just dissipates up here. So I had to get an air conditioner thing just for this room. So those are kind of the two big ones. Sorry, real quick, I want to check something. What does that say? Press that button to prepare for shooting a movie. That's weird. Okay, I need to look into that later. Can you offer any career advice in terms of getting into audio engineering or producing? Think like an entrepreneur. Don't think like, oh, I hope I get a studio job. Nobody in this industry has like a proper job. They go out and make things happen. They work freelance. They work as a contractor, and they create a lot of value, and they make themselves indispensable so people hire them. It's not formulaic, but it's also not sending resumes out like that. That's not going to get you anywhere. So think like a business owner. You're starting your own business, and the business may just be you. Maybe the product is you and your services, but you got to think of it that way and not, I hope somebody calls me and hires me today. You'll get better results that way. Vincent, how to make parameter modulation via an LFO, please? I have no idea. It's a good question, though. Hey, Joe, enjoyed the mixer content. Got me more aware of how it works. Well, good. Your opinion about the BBE 482i. Is that one of those sonic maximizers? I've never used them. I almost got one of those sonic maximizer guitar pedals at one point because I thought I needed it, but I've never used them. My biggest problem is a singer whose vocal range is pretty much the same as crunchy guitar sounds. If I bring the voice up front, I lose the guitars. Any ideas? Hey, real quick, I'm going to turn my air on because I'm just sweating like crazy. So there will be a nice rumble in the background. Come on. Come on. There we go. I'm dying. Let me know if it messes up the microphone, but I don't think it's blowing directly on the mic. Okay, what was that question? Ray says, my biggest problem is singer whose vocal range is pretty much same as crunchy guitar sounds. Here's the thing. That's not unique. Every singer's range is the same as guitars and keyboards. Like, that's just the nature of humanity. You know, a few people maybe they sit a little bit lower, and some people maybe sit a little bit higher. But generally, like, the human voice takes up certain frequencies. So you're not really facing anything new. If anyone has ever had a kind of a nasal, bright sounding vocal and crunchy guitars and has made it work, then you can make it work. It's just about balance. It's not about thinking about it in terms of I pull down these frequencies so I can push up these frequencies. It's more like what's working. Do the guitars sound amazing and the vocal needs to fit there, or does the guitars not sound that great and maybe you can take some frequencies out that'll both make them sound better and make the vocal sit well with it. 3 a.m. in India. You're a brave soul. I stayed up till 3 on Tuesday night getting this mixing course finished, all the kind of last minute stuff. I have not recovered. That was Tuesday night. It's Friday. I'm dying. So kudos to you if you can make it work. How to achieve good vocals without a vocal booth? Easy. Just have a room where you have some stuff in it. Vocal booths, if you don't do them right, they can be worse. So like everything I record is in rooms like this. There's some treatment around the room. It's not a booth, and you can get great results. If you're not getting good vocals, it's not because you don't have a booth. There's something else. Have you ever been scared to release a project to the world? Every single time. Because this next project's going to be the one where they'll realize I'm a fraud. Right? Or they'll just hate it, or I won't hear anything. Like, that's very normal, too. How best to point an SM57 and an SM81 to record an acoustic guitar? That's all I got. I would just use one mic. Pick one. Pick the SM81 and find a great one spot for that. That's what I would do. I don't like 2 mics unless it's like a stereo XY, and I get the feeling that wouldn't work as well with a 57 and that. Let me turn this down just a little bit. It won't move. That's fine. Over time, is it possible to make a living doing mixing? I mean, yeah, if you're good enough, and you can find the clients. But everybody I know who does like full-time audio, rarely do they just do one thing. So maybe you're not gonna buck that norm either. Is it wise to put a compressor on the mix bus for the mids if they sound a bit low? I mean, I like compressors on the mix bus. I don't maybe do it for that specific reason. If the mids are a bit low, compressor isn't really going to fix that. That's more of a balance and EQ thing in the mix itself. But I do like compressors on the mix bus because it kind of helps glue things together in a way that you just can't quite do otherwise. Is the idea what's up, Brandon? Is the idea of you can't polish a turd true? How important is the source material in mixing? Holy crap, Brandon. So I've been saying for a decade that you can't fix it in the mix. It's a terrible way to live life. And the better way is to get it right at the source. That's the thing. I had t-shirts made at one point that said GIRATS, get it right at the source. Because that's where it's at. Great records are made at the source. Period. Yes, you need to be good at mixing. Mixing's important. Great mixing can do wonders for tracks, but I've had so many people say, oh, I'm so bad at mixing, and then they finally mix something they didn't record. Like they'll mix something I recorded really well. That sounds really arrogant, but it's true. And then they'll say, oh man, I'm not a bad mixer. I'm just terrible at recording. And they focus on getting better at recording, and their mixes improve instantly with no effort. It's a lot harder. It's a lot easier to want to say, I need a new plugin. New plugins won't make bad tracks sound good. They'll make good tracks sound better, but not the other way around. Is it necessary to put compressor on every instrument? Absolutely not. Only put a compressor in there if it needs it. Dr. McFarland says, let's get ready to rumble. Them's fighting words. Man, these are coming by. They're not coming by too fast. I just keep losing my place. Shay says, Joe, loving your content. Absolute quality. Any quick tips on bass compression and side chaining? I never side chain bass. In bass compression, make sure it's a fast attack or a fast release so that the bass gets to let go, so it makes it kind of feel bouncy. It depends on the music. I don't do a lot of compression on bass either, honestly, because I do a lot of compression, or I get a lot of that vibe on the mix bus compressor. So, yeah. There's one more thing I wanted to say. I like things like LA2A compressor style compressors on bass. They're smooth. I like the way they sound. Does it make any sense to use more than one saturator on the same track? I don't use saturators, so I don't know. When I use distortion, I don't use more than one, but there's no rule. Excuse me, sorry, I need a water. Someone get me a water. You can't. How loud is the drum supposed to be in a mix? Go listen to your favorite album, and that will tell you. Have you ever had to use auto-tune for any genre you mix? Well, it's a trick question. When someone hires me to mix, my job is not to tune. If the track really needs tuning, I'll go back and say, hey, this really needs to be tuned. Either you need to do it or I can do it for a fee, because you didn't hire me to tune this, but it would be better for everyone if we tuned it. I've done that maybe once or twice. But yeah, I use auto-tune on my voice. I went several years without doing it. Then I realized it helps, and so now I use it. What's a good dynamic range to aim for? Juan, I don't know how you would quantify that, but I use the K-System meters. I go for not having it in the red too much in the quieter parts, but not too quiet in the quieter parts. Not too much red in the loud parts, but not too much under the yellow. That didn't make any sense. Is only Reason 10 enough for recording? Yeah. If it can record, it's enough for recording. I'm having trouble finding a good instructional video to go from taking my 16 tracks down to a final mix down. I'm not sure what you're asking, but if you're asking about mixing, that's what I do. And this new course that's down here on the screen below is phenomenal for mixing down. If you're talking about getting 16 tracks off of some sort of hardware device, then yeah, you're not going to have a lot of help there because that's such an old technology. But as far as like actually mixing down, yeah, that's what this whole channel's for sure. How to use a doubler on vocals if I don't want to record another doubles track? Yeah, air conditioner rumble. I just record a double. I don't use a doubler. It's just so much easier to just sing it one more time. Just one more time. Just another 4 minutes, and you're done. Have you ever mixed vocals for a podcast? And if so, would you have any advice? Why does the voice sound so warm for some? Yeah, I'm on episode 250 something of my podcast, and I did one with Graham Cochran where we did 40 or 50 episodes. So yes, I've mixed hundreds of episodes of podcasts. The biggest variable is the voice itself. My voice that you're listening to right now, this is what my voice sounds like. I do have a nice mic. It's only a $300 mic. I'm going through a tiny bit of EQ and a limiter. That's my signal chain for spoken word, and it sounds good. So a lot of it is, again, is get it right at the source. If you have a voice that's not full and warm and you want to make it sound full and warm, well, you can't, because that's the sound of the voice itself. But obviously a good microphone in a room that's not super resonant and has a lot of echo, those things are important, but also just the source itself. I feel like I say that all the time, and it sounds arrogant, but it's just kind of the thing. What's up, Johnny Lipsham? Sorry, I'm scrolling through old parts of the chat. I just saw you come in. Sorry about the air. I'd rather not sweat quite as much. We can turn the music up. Ah, it's beautiful. Okay. Can you hear me though? If you can't, let me know. This mic is the Roswell Pro Audio Mini K47. It's like, last I checked, it was $299. Fantastic. I've used this on all my vocals, most of my vocals for the last several years. Is that a Vox AC 4TV head and cab in the background? Yes, it is. It's kind of the first real amp I bought. Haven't used it in a while though. Thank you, Dr. McFarland. What sample rate do you recommend? 48? 44.1? Nothing higher. It's just not worth it, and it takes up all the processing. Does your course work for all DAWs? Good question. Yeah, it does. I've been teaching stuff for the last decade, and I have students and customers using Logic, Pro Tools, Cubase, everything. I use Studio One, but I use Pro Tools too in some of those videos. I don't teach software. Software is boring. I teach mixing and recording and production and concepts, so you can apply those real easily to whatever system you use. So yeah, you'll be solid. Greetings from Greece. Any opinion on the Acme? No, I don't. I'll go ahead and tell you now, I don't have opinions on any plugins because I don't use them. I don't go out and use lots of plugins. When I lay down guitar, it always sounds too raw and cheap. Do you think spending more time on getting the tone right is key, or do you always EQ after guitar tone anyway? I think you know the answer. Get it right at the source. I'm gonna make like a banner that just goes whoosh, get it right at the source every time. Yeah, if it sounds cheap and raw when it's when it's just the raw recording, I mean, you can do some things in mixing, right? But it's gonna always have that core essence of cheapness and rawness that you said was there. It could be it's a cheap guitar. Could be you're not dialing in good tones. I'm not sure if this is acoustic or electric, but yeah. Juan says, I thought tuning was a part of mixing. No, I would file tuning in the editing category. So big picture, there's pre-production, then there's like production, the recording phase, and then somewhere in there is the editing phase, kind of, where tracks get cleaned up, timing gets fixed, things get tuned, then mixing. If you hire me to mix, that's what you've hired me to do, not edit. Like, there's people who've made their careers in Nashville just tuning vocals and editing, because that's its own thing. Can you explain a bit of how or what is your chain to process a brass section? I mean, I don't do a lot of brass, so it's usually route all the brass to a bus and then listen. And then if it needs EQ, EQ. If it needs compression, compress. I know it's a very not helpful answer, but that's how I do it. That's the honest answer. Do you have any plans for more original music? Yes. As I was setting up this mixing course, and one of the tiers gets you mix practice, which is the download of all 50 plus songs I've released in the last 10 years, I realized I haven't released anything this year. So I would like to write some more stuff and put something out. I've got the itch. It took a while. The itch went away for a while, but it's back. Somebody quote me on that. The itch went away, but it's back. I love this part. Okay. Is there a lot of difference between Studio One artist and pro? Yeah, there's a comparison page on the Studio One page at Personas. There's a few. Yes, there are. Is mixing on Fruity Loops okay? Yeah, if it sounds good. Is your new course applicable to lots of different genres? Death metal. Oh, I lost it. Where'd it go? See, the thing with the chat, it jumps. There it is. Death metal, EDM, Bolivian nose flute, folk. Yeah, because, I mean, it's if you do rock or something in the rock or indie vein, it's probably maybe a slight bit more applicable to you. But the thing is, this whole mixing course is about the process, the 5-step process that I use, whether I'm mixing a guitar vocal or a big full band or some sort of kind of acoustic thing that's got a lot of strings and guitars and not a lot of drums. Though I would still approach them the same way. Every mix I do goes through those 5 steps. I didn't like come up with the 5 steps to be all cool and gimmicky. I just sat down and said, man, I go through a similar process every time I mix. Let me see if I can quantify that, and that's kind of where the 5 steps came from. So there you go. Could you make a tutorial or give some tips on mastering a full track? Yes. If you join my VIP, we just did a mastering challenge not long ago, and I did a lot of training about that. HomeStudioCorner.com/VIP. It's killer. We do challenges every month. It's really fun. This month is a production challenge. That's what the last live stream was about. Verse says, what time is it? Ooh, 5 minutes to, okay. It is peak tonight, so I'm going to answer one more question and then go, but I'll be back. Real quick, one more spiel. I've got a brand new mixing course. I have not released a mixing course in a number of years. I'm way biased, but this is the best mixing training I've done. I would arguably say best mixing training out there. The link is below. It's on sale for the next few days. I think Wednesday night the sale ends. Go to the link, check it out. It's on sale, $50 off. It is so good. Last question. Verse says, my masters are always too quiet, even though they are around 10 LUFS. I took all your tips on your loudness video, but it still doesn't have loud audio. Any suggestions? I would go listen to the mastering podcast with Ian Shepherd and follow some of his advice. One thing is if it's not loud enough, you may just turn it up. Just push it up into the limiter and see. Otherwise, maybe it sounds fine. Maybe it's not too loud, if that makes sense. The Reaper blog's here. What's up, John? Man, guys, real quick, this final thing. The Reaper blog is here. John Tidy. John Tidy, Audio Geek Zine was the first place, and I guess the home recording show were the two places where I discovered you back in 2009 when I was just figuring out like how to set up a blog. And we've been internet buddies ever since. And John had me on. Yes, and also John's the co-host of the Mastering Show. I said Ian Shepherd. John Tidy is the glue that holds the whole thing together. But yeah, John had me on the Home Recording Show, which was a killer podcast with Ryan Canestro and Jesse Zoller at some point, and then he stopped. But I feel like that was a big, for me, with my little bitty home studio corner blog 11 years ago, it was a really big deal that you let me on your show to talk to people. So thank you, John. We got to meet in real life if you ever stop living in Canada. In the meantime, everybody who attended, thank you. I'm going to try to do more, hopefully this weekend, definitely through as this sale's going on with this new course. I'll try to do a few more of these to answer your questions and whatnot. But otherwise, you can always hit me up on the socials. But yeah, Gilder out. See ya.